What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to CRÜZR Radio episode 13. I'm your host, Wesley Hill, joined with Chad Rice on this podcast. And we have a special guest this week. Four-time world champ, Mr. Rich Froning is in the house. We're super excited to get to talk to him about the experience he's had over the past couple years being a professional CrossFitter. And on top of that, we're going to go in deep about his experiences hunting and what he loves and doesn't love about hunting. This is going to be a great episode, guys. Let's get into it.
Stop talking until we start. Let's just go ahead and start because it's just random nonsense. But
Yeah.
It works. Yeah, Angelo, we joke because Angelo's done my life in reverse.
Okay.
So he won the CrossFit Games as a teen, and then he was a firefighter.
Okay.
I was a firefighter and then won the game. So we joke that
There you
Angelo's, we're living life in reverse.
So you're world time champion? Is that what?
Four-time individual champion and then 6-time on a team.
6-time on a team.
Yeah.
So there's probably a lot of people that don't know
They have no
who
clue
you
probably
are
what I do.
Yeah.
that might listen. I mean, there's a lot that do, obviously. But, kind of explain.
Yeah, so grew up here, we're in Cookeville.
Yeah.
Most people
Cookeville,
probably
Tennessee.
know that we're in Cookeville, right? Went to Cookeville High School, like we just said. Went to Tennessee Tech, got my undergrad in exercise science. In that process, one of my professors was like, and was a firefighter. I actually worked at Station 2 just right down the road for a long time. And kind of in that process of getting my undergrad, they had this program where you could work as a full-time firefighter. So I did that for 4 years. And then my final semester, the head strength and conditioning coach was one of the professors and said, hey, you're obviously into working out because you're getting your degree in this, but he said, you should check out this thing called CrossFit. It's a lot of military, police, fire are doing it. You should try it out. And so that was 2009, I guess. So I started doing CrossFit in 2009. Didn't really even know you could compete. Me and my cousin started doing it, opened up a gym over north of town, and in that process found out that you could compete in CrossFit. And the next year decided to, hey, let's give it a shot. Didn't really think I had any real chance at qualifying for what they call CrossFit Games. And they have at that point, they had a qualifier called sectionals, and then from sectionals you went to regionals if you were the top 15. From regionals, the top 5 went to the CrossFit Games. And so that first competition, there was like 70 guys. I showed up. We were on our way to spring break and thought, yeah, I don't belong here. After day one, if I'm not in the top, at least 20 striking distance, we'll go ahead and get an early jump on spring break.
Yeah.
And so finished the first workout, and my cousin goes to check the leaderboard, and he comes back and has this real weird look on his face. He's like, you actually won that workout. And so I thought, hey, we'll hang out a little bit longer. And, I ended up winning that sectional, went to regionals, won my regional, and then went to the CrossFit Games and got second in 2010. And then the next 4 years won as an individual. And then when we had our first daughter in 2014, that was my last year as an individual. There's kind of a crazy obsession to be the best in the world at anything. You got to be obsessive, and I didn't want to do that to my kids and to my daughter. So I stepped aside, and I still was super competitive and obsessive, but I could at least disconnect. Being on a team, the team competition used to be 3 men and 3 women on a team, and then after a couple of years, they switched it from 2 men and 2 women. And that was a lot more fun for me growing up playing team sports. I played high school baseball here and a little bit of football. So that got back to the team thing, and it wasn't just all about me. And so in that process, we've, grown a business here, and we have CrossFit Mayhem in town and do a lot of different things. So that's been, 13 years. We were talking about I'm 30. We were talking about 35, and I've got all these kids that come and train with us now, and they're all 20s, and I don't think anything about it. And then I'm like, man, I'm a third more of your age. This is ridiculous.
It's crazy.
So it's been a good run, but 35. It's there. We're there.
Yeah, I always forget how old Wesley is, and I'm like, golly, dude, you're like a baby.
I know. You just think you're like, oh, I'm the same age.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, no, I'm not even close.
It's pretty funny because I do the same thing, but the other way around.
Yeah.
Because all of my friends are like older, 35, which I don't have a problem with. But then it's like, they're like, dude, you're 23. I'm like, am I though? Yeah, like, I kind of feel like I'm 35 right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it to Wesley. He doesn't act like he's 23 most of the time.
Dude, I try my hardest not to. Try my hardest.
No. But yeah, dude, that's awesome, man. So you started a gym before you even started competing, you said, right?
Yeah, me and my cousin, he graduated high school. Long story short, he was one of 6 boys. The 2 older of the 6 passed away. One of them was my best friend in the world.
Yeah.
We were 12 days apart, and he passed probably 2 years before that. And so he wasn't in any type of trouble, but he went from being the middle kid to being the oldest, and it was tough on him. So I wanted to get him out of just to get him a break. And so we moved him down here as soon as he graduated. And his mom was like, "You have to get him a job."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we'll give him a job. And then we decided, hey, let's start a gym.
Let's start a gym.
And we actually started it in like a gymnastics place. Friends of ours had a gymnastics kind of kids studio thing, and they gave us a corner for free. And so
that's cool,
really, though, we didn't really make any money. We were just worked out a lot, and people would be like, "Oh, I can't really afford it." And we're like, "Well, what can you afford?" They're like, "I don't know, $20." We're like, yeah, sure, that'll work.
That'll work.
But, we didn't make any money, but we got really fit. And so
there you go.
Yeah, that was 2009.
Led you down this path.
So I remember when you guys were beside CyberTech.
Yep.
Yeah. So how long were you guys there before you built the new building?
So what happened was we had the original place. When I, after I guess 2011, that professor that I said, he ran a CrossFit gym out of the strength and conditioning facility here at Tech, and he was like, "Hey, why don't we just merge into one?"
Yeah.
Because I was working as an assistant strength coach, and so it just made sense. And so we did that for a year. So that would have been 2011 till early 2012, and then 2012, I actually stepped away from Tech, and really, I mean, I trained in my garage, but we were thinking, hey, let's start a gym again, and figure out kind of long term what this is going to be. And so that's when we moved into over there next to Ralph's.
Okay.
Ralph's and CyberTag. We were there, and then I want to say in about 18, that building over where we're at now, it used to be Design Drive. It's now Rich Froning Way, which is really weird. But
I was about to say that.
Yeah. My kids love it because they hear it on the radio now that Southern Landscapes over there now. They're like, they just said your name,
Yeah.
So,
It's funny.
that was not my idea. But so we moved over there. That building has been around since like 96, but we put a lot of work into it.
Yeah, I've been in there because you guys had a like a physical therapist in the front for a long time.
Yeah, we had
I was doing
chiropractor.
I was doing video work for them for a little while.
Okay, cool. So we had the chiropractor in the front, and then now it's a coffee shop. So we've got that over there, and then all of our offices too. It's like we've got a full blown media team there now, and then some other front end stuff, office stuff. So
wow, that's wild, dude.
It used to be like a because it was named Design Drive. It used to be because I used to be in
not Axe Interiors. It was
some interior
Apex.
Because I used to have a construction company before I started this, and I used to work for those guys a little bit. I think.
Yeah, it was Apex or something like that, and then it sat vacant for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was like the showroom was up front, and then the warehouse was in the back. So
that's right.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been a good run for sure. We've been blessed.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because I'll just travel every once in a while, and it's like a couple of years ago we went to LA and we're passing all these gyms, but it's like they've got all of Mayhem stuff just like posted. It's just like, wow, it's like that's hometown to me.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah, it's. I mean, like I said, we get a lot of people through here, and now especially a lot of our business is online, so we do individual programming, but a lot of gyms use our programming. So there's like 1,500 gyms now across the world that use Mayhem's programming. So,
do you ever expect it to get this big?
No, not at all. I never thought I could really make a living working out. So it's been, like I said, it's been awesome. Every year after I'd win the games, I'm like, all right, eventually this is it's gonna run out, and I'm gonna go back to the fire department, and I just haven't been back to the fire department yet.
Yeah, you're just still waiting for that day.
Still waiting for that day.
What do they call that? Like imposter syndrome.
Yeah, right? Really, it doesn't feel right. I'm like, nah. At any moment, this is all gonna stop, and I'm gonna wake up. So it's like I said, we've got. It's been fun.
I can relate to that for sure.
Right? Yeah,
man.
That's cool. Yeah, walking through there upstairs reminds me of it just happens. Just make it happen.
Just make it happen, man. Just put your nose to the grindstone and get after it. I mean, it's the American dream, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
it is.
So that's pretty cool, man. And then, like, how many employees do you guys have now?
Full time, there's probably 15 of us or more, and then part time. I mean, we have so many coaches, and college kids that are coaching, and
TJ.
TJ Carter.
Old TJ, old TJ. TJ's he's one of a kind, that's for sure.
Yep. He's a funny one.
Yeah,
he cracks me up, man.
Yeah, so TJ's a good one. TJ was with us for full time for a little while, and then now I think he's like selling solar panels or something.
Yeah, I don't even know.
I don't either.
He tried to explain it to me, but I couldn't get it.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, yeah, TJ's a good one. So then we have probably another 20 or 30 more coaches on top of our full-time employees.
Daggum. So not only do you have CrossFit Mayhem, but you also have Froning Farms
Yep.
as well. So
Yep.
explain to me what that is.
Yeah, so that was me and Matt Billings, my childhood friend, best friend growing up. We lived about a mile apart growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And then we both kind of moved off the mountain. We both were firefighters at the same time, but, still best friends and still lived in Cookeville. And then we both eventually built houses back up where we're from on the mountain, Pfeiffer Mountain. And we had land kind of between us, about halfway between us. He's probably a quarter mile or a half mile from me. And then we have, 160 acres that was just kind of sitting there. And so we thought, hey, let's start a farm more or less just so the kids had something to do. Because, nowadays kids with technology and then especially thrown into the situation where they could be brats, like with what all is at their fingertips. We were like, hey, let's start a farm. And so Matt had a little bit of a cattle background where when we were firefighters, he would do that on his off days. And so that was the plan. And I threw a wrench into the plan. I was like, hey, everybody does cattle.
Yeah.
Let's do bison.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I don't really know anything about bison. I said, yeah, but they look cooler on a T-shirt. And kind of the idea was like, all right, we'll do some T-shirts and some hats and stuff to fund the farm. I mean, you can't make money on a farm these days. It's just almost impossible. And turns out it is pretty cool and people liked it. And then in that process, we started doing some meat sticks and jerky and bars and stuff like that. And it has done really well. And turns out you can make a farm
a little
business.
bit of a living.
And so
That's
that kind
cool.
of we started that tagline Into the Storm and people have loved it. And just the stories of like, hey, because the whole idea behind it is bison out west, if they see a storm, they head into it because the idea is you're going to move through that storm faster. And so a lot of people have connected with that. And we get, so many stories, cool stories of people that are going through something that, anything in life that anything that's easy, nothing really great comes out of it. But, when you push into, not necessarily look for trouble, but, lean into hardships and it makes you better. And so that's one of the cool things we've seen with the whole Into the Storm thing is people love it. And, we had this lady that the other day we had a big event at the game or at the gym. And this lady walks in with an Into the Storm shirt and she had tallies. And so she had gone through cancer and her chemo treatments. She'd put a tally every time she'd gone through those chemo treatments. And so
Crazy.
Pretty cool. And Matt and Kelly, they run the back of house and do a lot of the business side of stuff. And they're awesome about like when people reach out and say, hey, this has really meant something. They, we send something and kind of support that. So
awesome.
It's been cool. Been really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. So when I want to get into hunting, obviously,
let's do it.
That's what we're here to do.
Yep.
So, but when did you start hunting? Have you always hunted? What does that look like?
Yeah. So growing up, I was born in Michigan. Don't hold that against me. We moved here when I was 4.
Gosh,
what part?
We got to end this right now.
I know, right? We're done. We're done. Sorry. I was born in Mount Clemens, so it's a little bit northeast of Detroit.
Okay, cool.
Probably an hour.
And my whole family's from like the Oxford area.
Okay, cool. So. Yeah. So all my family still lives up there, and unfortunately, all my sports teams. But so we moved here when I was 4, though. So Tennessee is home for me, and we still visit there a lot. But Tennessee's home, and so my uncle a couple of my uncles were really big into it. So a couple of times I'd go out and sit with them. My dad would hunt every once in a while. I still have memories of seeing him walking out of the woods, but he was super impatient. So he didn't like to sit, and he was also super impatient with me. So he didn't want to watch me try to sit either. So I never really hunted a ton growing up. Like I'd walk out and try to shoot some squirrels or stuff with, with a BB gun, that type of stuff. I always wanted to hunt, but just never really had the background. And I'd say, I guess it's been about 10 years ago. I had a good friend of mine in Livingston or Rickman, Charles Peak. And he was like, I don't think you like whitetail. He hates whitetail. He's like, but I think turkey would match your style of hunting. And man, that's when I really got into hunting.
Oh, buddy.
And just, running after him, chasing after him, not sitting still. There's like a, kind of an active strategy. Not that there's no strategy to whitetail, but you're just kind of sitting and waiting. And it's just not my personality.
Yeah.
And man, I fell in love with turkey hunting. And through that process, I did that probably 4 or 5 years. And somebody was like, you need to try elk because it's a similar hunting
Yeah.
style. It's just a way bigger animal. And so that's when my obsession with elk hunting started. And so that's been going on for 5 years. So we went to Montana 1 year, took a year off. I think one of my kids was born or something. You know, they screw everything up. And then we went to Colorado just because it was so much easier to get tags and try to learn the system of all that stuff. So you can just get an over-the-counter tag and go screw it up yourself, you know. So we went to Gunnison for 2 years, had a couple opportunities, had a buddy that should have taken a shot, and it didn't happen. You know, we'd go on these week-long trips, and then finally this year, TJ was with me when we actually killed one. So I killed a bull early fall, and then actually went out for third rifle season, killed a cow this year. So
sick, dude.
So finally, and then now I'm basically addicted to it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And just
I get that.
the feeling and the just, man, it's awful. It's the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
But it's awesome at the same time.
It's that type 2 fun. It's
It
like
really
it
is.
is. It sucks in the moment, and then you
It's
look back on it and you're like,
such a grind. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, like you finally
love
did it. Yeah.
Love it.
We've, the last couple of years, it's get up at 6 a.m. Luckily, one of my buddies, or a guy that we met, and now is a good friend, he makes, it's called NZ campers. They're just basically, an
Box
enclosed
trailers,
trailer.
yeah.
And then
I saw that at NWTF.
Dude,
yeah,
they're awesome. And
Sweet,
so it's
man.
just we sleep 5 guys in there. It's got 4 fold-down bunk beds. We throw a mattress in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And for a week, we just go out there. As soon as you get up, we go. As soon as you get back, you start packing for the next morning, packing your food. And then, we're out there from 6 a.m. to 7 or 8 at night and just grinding. And
Are you guys spike camping at all, or
every year we're like, yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to do that. And we just never do. You
just
know?
hike back, yeah.
Hike back, and then
Yeah.
it's like, just depends on where we're going to go, a couple hour or a couple minute drive back. But I mean, we're putting in, anywhere from 10 to 13 miles a day, just going.
Yeah.
Trying to get as far away from pressure as you can. If you're over the counter, public land hunting, that's basically the name of the game. So it was,
I mean, there you got to compete really hard with people out there, and
yeah, not only are you competing with people, you're competing with an animal.
Yeah,
that's
it's-
basically
yeah.
a ghost.
yeah. Exactly.
And,
I don't know how a huge animal like that can just disappear. You know what I mean?
it blows my mind. You know,
Yeah.
so like in the fall, we're looking for sign, looking for just
Scat.
shit, piss,
Yep.
whatever you're looking
Yeah.
for,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we go on that rifle hunt, and we were on some private land, but it was all surrounded by BLM.
Yep.
And we're hiking around, and I'm like, oh, there's some sign. He's like, yeah, that's cool, but look over there.
Yeah.
And there's elk everywhere.
Yeah.
And so it just made me realize probably, and they're just up in the woods, kind of just
On the private, right?
on the private.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, we're right next to public, but
Yeah.
you're just like, there's no telling. The only reason we saw these is because it had snowed, and so you could just see them backlit against
Yep.
the snow.
Yep.
There's no telling now how many I've walked by, how many hundreds I've probably walked by just, in the woods. Because,
Yeah,
what we'll
exactly.
do is in the morning, you'll go up, we'll find a spot, we'll sit, we'll glass, we'll listen. If we don't see anything, we might middle of the day just, slow creep through some timber. And we've bumped a couple by doing that. But there's no telling how many we've just walked by because, there's leaves on the trees, there's the blowdown, there's all kinds of stuff. And so there's just something to it. It's the hardest thing mentally. Physically, it's really hard, but mentally, emotionally, the roller coaster you go through.
Well, their whole thing is survival. So it's like they're out there just to, they're living.
Yeah.
Surviving.
Yep.
We're trying to get in the middle of it,
So they're good at what they do, and it's tough, man.
So that's my favorite thing is on my social media. Obviously, you guys are probably, your social media is mostly hunters, so what you guys post is probably received a lot
Very well. Very well.
differently
I'm
than
sure
mine.
yours is.
I get some death threats and certain things like that.
Goodness. It's
Golly, dude.
ridiculous.
And my favorite is like this defenseless animal, and I'm like, you have no idea,
No clue.
no clue.
We talk about that all the time. Just like the difference between getting meat from a store and actually going and getting it yourself.
Yeah.
Just like the whole quality of the meat by itself, and also just the
Respect, man.
Yeah.
I don't waste any of that meat.
Yeah.
Like it's my favorite is so I might have poked the bear a little bit with one of my posts this year.
Of course.
And-
Why not?
and, I'm to the point in my life, like when you get older, you're just like, screw it. I don't
Yeah,
care.
whatever,
Like
man.
either you like me or you don't. And I think what really set people off was, I in the post I said, if you're a vegetarian or vegan, I can respect that. And I think that's what's wrong with this country is we can't respect other people's opinions. We don't have to agree with people, but we can respect it. Like, hey, I can see where you're coming from. I don't agree with you, but I can see it, and I can see how this might offend you, and I'm sorry. But people who eat meat and are against hunting, not that if you don't hunt, but if you're against hunting and you eat meat.
Yeah, if you're an anti-hunter and you eat meat,
I said you're a coward.
It's an
oxymoron. I think that was what really
but that's
set
pretty
people off.
accurate, man.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot. Like, there is a bit of remorse when you kill something. Like,
there totally is.
And I don't think people understand. They're like, oh, you're just going out there to, like, act like you're in the military because, wearing camo and stuff like that. And people are, you're just going out there you want to kill something, you sociopath, and you have no idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
No clue.
When people see us celebrate after a kill, it's not celebrating the death of the animal, man.
No,
it's celebrating the hard work, the grind, the amount of hours, the amount of miles you put on your feet,
The brotherhood,
the camaraderie,
of like there's 4 or 5 guys that I hunted hard with this year, and just to have that, and for me this year there was we were sitting here. I don't know if TJ's told you the whole story. We hiked, and this is last day. We're only doing a half day hunt, and we'd found this wallow earlier in the week, and when I'd gotten up to kind of sun, because it was cold, it was like 40 degrees, and sitting there you get chilly. So I'm sitting in this. I kind of move over to a spot that's in the sun in this wallow, and I look down, and there's 2 carcasses, one probably a week old and one 2 week old, and then I look up and there's a tree stand right next to us. I'm like, dang, didn't see that, so we're like, well, nothing's probably coming through here, there's too much death here. Well, so we move on, and we're in the same area. It's this kind of pocket of BLM with a bunch of private around it, and so the last day second to last day, I'm glassing this hill, and I see an elk. It was so far away, I couldn't tell if it was a bull or a cow. I didn't have a spotting scope, just using my binos. And I see it get up and kind of work its way back, and we're looking at this hillside where that wallow would have been. And so we see it working back, and so the next morning we're like, we know there's an elk over there. Let's just go. And so that morning we get up, and we're kind of messing with these bulls that we could see on private, just to like have some type of excitement to see some bulls bugle, and these things are going crazy
just to interact with.
But they know exactly what's going on. I mean, and TJ was there, and we're just having him every time this big bull would bugle, TJ would just cut him off, and he was getting pissed. And then you'd see like 3 or 4 more bulls come down. There's 30 cows. And it's all on public land, completely landlocked with private, and they're just staring at you like whatever. So for 30 minutes, and finally we're like, all right, let's go.
Let's quit messing around.
And so we get up over this hill, and we go to this heavy timber spot. We sit there for a little bit. A couple other guys go walk around a little bit. They come back, and we're like, let's go sit at this wallow, right? Let's just go see. That's the one chance we know, right? So we get there. TJ blasts a bugle. My one buddy goes down, starts raking trees and doing whatever. Makes a couple cow calls, right? We're sitting there. And only cell phone service I'd found on the whole mountain. I'm like, screw it. NFL Sunday ticket. Lions are about to start. Let's watch the Lions. So I dig my phone into the dirt, and we're just kind of sitting there, and we're in kind of like up the hill a little bit, all staring down at this wallow. And I just happened to have my bow in my hand, and an arrow knocked. Just perfect. Yeah. And my buddy gets up, goes up, talks to one of the other guys, comes down, sits a little off to my right, but in front of me, and goes, bull. We're like, what do you say?
No way.
He goes, bull elk, and just points like this. He's just dead still. We're no cover, no nothing. We all just sit there for 11 minutes. TJ has the whole video on his phone, the iPhone video. Like we did a whole YouTube video. It's more like polished, I guess. But it's 11 minutes long, where this thing walked in completely silent, and there's 2 trees that standing behind, and it would just look up, stare at us, look down, look around, look back up, stare at us, and just did that for 11 minutes.
Golly,
and
dude.
So I'm like full on, like I'm shaking. My heart, it feels like my bino case is hitting my bow, because it's like my heart is racing. And so finally, one of the times he turns around, I decide to put my release on the D loop. And so I'm sitting there kind of like this. Or no, first, I guess I just switched to a single pin.
Yeah.
And so I adjusted my range to 40 yards. I have no idea why. I ranged a bunch of trees, but in that moment, you completely forget.
Yeah, for sure.
I believe in God, and I believe this is the reason why I did it, but I put it on 40, right?
Yeah.
And so I put it on 40 for some reason. He turns around, so I stop. Another time he turns around to look away, I D-loop. Well, he's behind 2 trees. Like I said, just his head. You can just see his antlers look down, and you're like, at some point, you're almost like, this is torture, because
he's right there.
He is right there. And so there's about 10, 15 yards, there's a tiny little opening that if you had to take a prayer shot, like it would be an ethical shot, be right in the kill zone, but it's probably going to hit some, it's going to do something.
Yeah.
But I'd made my mind up. I'm not like we let one walk, or I let my buddy take a shot 3 years ago. This bedded bull, 54 yards. Instead of taking a right down the shooting lane, he'd step down, pop some logs or some twigs, and it ran off. But anytime I close my eyes, I can see this thing.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, this is not happening to me again.
Yeah.
And so he goes to walk back, and so I draw. And I just switched to left-handed this year because I've got a shoulder issue with my left shoulder, and the stability on the front side hurts my left shoulder. So, so I can draw fine. So I've switched, and so he starts to walk, and I've made my mind up. If he walks into that window, I'm letting one fly.
Letting it fly, yeah.
And so my one buddy's like, wait. And I don't know if he couldn't see the window that I had, but as soon as that thing gets to that window, it stops.
Oh, my goodness.
Turns around and then starts coming into where we're at, into that wallow. And as soon as it clears those trees, whack! But it sounds like it hit the tree.
Yeah.
No, it hit the bone, but it sounded like I centered a tree.
Geez.
And it looked high, and my buddy's like, the emotion, which is good, like it's cool that Scott, our video guy, got it all. Mm-hmm. But I thought like the despair that I'd just taken this shot. Yeah. I was the one that took the shot. There's 4 of us there. Yeah. I blew it. I missed this thing high. Everything starts rolling through my head, and that's the most disappointed. One of the most disappointed I've ever been.
You can see the physical pain on
your
face.
Like watching it again, I'm like, man, the feeling, and I'm just like, and TJ's like, yeah, you missed high.
Of course, TJ's
bastard TJ. And so we're sitting there, and we're like, all right, let's wait like 4 or 5 minutes. Maybe he'll circle back, because we heard him run off and crash.
Yeah.
So we're like, maybe he'll come back. 5 minutes later, we're nothing. So we're like, let's go find the arrow. So we're walking down, and I'm looking at where I was sitting, and because we're sitting up on this hillside, and I'm looking up, and I'm like, all right, it's got to be stuck in this tree somewhere. It has to.
Yeah.
For sure. And we're looking around, and nothing. Finally, my buddy's like, I found it. And it's just covered in blood. And then the reaction.
Yeah, dude.
Like everybody's freaking out.
Yeah.
Like, it was cool. And then we start playing, like, I'm like, was it a good shot? Like what kind of, did I.
What kind of blood is this?
Yeah, you start playing that game too. And so we go back up, and we sit for about 30, 35 minutes, and we walk down. And then we start finding just tiny patches of blood. And we're like, oh my. Then you start playing more games. Gosh. And then all of a sudden, like, it starts opening up a lot. Yeah. And then on a tree, it just looks like the thing just blew
Spraying.
Out. And so as soon as we saw that, I looked down, and it's just laid up down to the left. It probably ran off about 50, 60 yards.
Golly,
and
dude.
just the emotion, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just, and even seeing that's the first elk I've seen up close dead. And man, it was like,
and you've been hunting for 5 years.
5 years
too.
hard.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask.
We went rifle the first year. We went rifle guided. And it was a year in Montana, and the guy was like, this is the hottest it's been. It was like 80 degrees every single day. Mm-hmm. And so basically we bow hunted with rifles. He was like, this is the only way I know how to do it. And this guy, he didn't know who I was at first. And so he was kind of like, oh, we'll take it easy. And good story about Billings on this trip, my buddy Matt.
Yeah.
We ran him into the ground the first day. And so Matt had to tree stand hunt for the next 3 days.
I think I heard this. I think Matt told me this story. He's like, I couldn't hang.
Matt was like peeing blood.
Yeah.
And he thought he was going to die.
Jeez.
And so but this guy figured out who I was. So he was like, all right, if you want to go, we'll go.
Hard.
And so we went, and nothing. We didn't see one elk.
We
stepped out of the truck the first morning and heard one bugle probably 30 yards from the truck, and I'm like, here we go.
Yeah.
And never saw another elk. So I say that to say I learned a ton from Matt, the guy out there, Matt, about elk hunting.
The guide,
And so,
right?
The guide.
Yeah.
And so for the next couple of years, we just kind of went on our own, kind of self-guided in Gunnison.
And you said that was in Montana.
The
right?
first one was in Montana,
Nice.
and
Okay.
then the last 3, now have been in
Colorado.
This
OTC
was a
tags.
little, this was a little different spot where we went this year. A funny story about that is the first couple of days we went up, we'd camp around 9,000 feet, and then we'd drive, a little bit, and then hike back 5-6 miles, and kind of start hunting technically.
Yeah.
And we were going up 11,000 feet. Hey, let's go as far away from everybody as we can. First day we had a little run-in with a bull. We thought he was a little farther off, and turned out we thought he was about 200 yards away. The way it sounded, he was more of like just kind of a locator bull or locator call.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're trying to close the gap a little before we call. And I go into this rock depression, and about 30 yards from where we were, this thing jumps up and takes off. So you're just mentally, it's a heartbreak. And so,
Yep.
and so we hunted there for 3 or 4 days, and then somebody saw that trailer, then said Froning Farms, and so guy walks up. He's like, "Hey, is Rich here?"
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm right here.
Random.
And Lane from Madison, Wisconsin, and he comes down.
Yeah, shout out to him.
Yeah, Lane, I got to give it to Lane because
Yeah.
we were hunting 11,000 feet, and he's like, "Where are you guys hunting?" We're telling him, and he's like, "Oh, we've had 7 encounters in 6 days." I'm like, "Whatever, dude."
Yeah.
And he's like, "You guys want to know where?" We're like,
No.
"Yeah, absolutely."
It's
And so he shows us,
Yeah.
shows us on Onyx where it's at.
Yeah.
And so, dude, it was like 8,200 feet. Everything had been pushed down. And this was like,
Okay.
what we were hunting was 90% public and about 10% private. There's a unit
Yeah.
next to it. It's about probably less, the opposite, maybe 10 to 20% private or public, and then 80% private. And so there was just these patches of BLM land that you could like, this one spot we found that he'd found, it was like a sliver that came across the road that was like the only way into this big patch was up this just nasty hill mountainside.
Yeah.
And then it was this huge spot of BLM. That's where we ended up killing it. But yeah, he was like, "Yeah, man, you mean show you where it's at?"
Pretty
We're like,
good. Yeah.
"Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
And so, I mean, we saw elk there every day. Nothing, we had a bull within probably 100 yards, and then TJ about out-angled me on this bull. We walk in the first morning to that spot, and we have one calling, and he's in this elk brush, and he's coming, and less than 100 yards, and I set up here on this kind of with this brush, and then TJ angles me, and the whole time I'm like, if this bull walks out, I'm shooting TJ in the back of the head.
Yeah.
So,
TJ's gonna get it.
yeah. And so we never saw him, but we saw, like I said, we saw elk there every day, and so it was kind of crazy. It was counterintuitive to anything that it's so crazy just how that's what those animals are doing. They're trying to survive.
I mean, it's like you got to find like, it's the same with whitetail on public. Yeah. Like you got to find those like overlook spots, right? Same with any animal that's getting highly pressured. I mean, you just got to find them.
Find them, yeah.
Yeah.
Finding them's half the battle, and then it takes a miracle. Like we said, I keep running it back in my head. That thing was at 41 yards when we measured it.
Yeah.
41 yards. Yeah. I set my, like, if I would have done anything
45,
else,
you'd have missed over him, man.
Everything.
Yeah.
And so then part of me is like, should I even go to a single pin? Like,
Yeah.
everybody's like, yeah, single pin's great. And then I'm like, yeah, if you have time to move it to the range you have.
Or if you have time to range the animal. Or
Exactly.
I mean, the good thing with elk, though, is they're so big.
So big.
You've got a little bit of
Wiggle
room. Yeah.
Well, whitetail, you do not.
No,
you don't.
Heck no.
Yeah.
They're so fast, dude.
Dude, it's annoying. That's the only way to put it.
So you don't whitetail hunt very much?
I have a couple times. I just, like I said, the hard part for me is just sitting there. And that's part of the battle. Even with elk, man, there's probably times where if I would have sat, we would have killed something. But I just mentally, I couldn't do it. Same with turkey, I've probably spooked. I've seen probably more turkey than most people, and I've probably bumped more turkeys than most people, but at least I saw something. Like for me, it's like we always called ourselves the nature watchers. We had like a hunting group, and we called ourselves the nature's watchers for a long time until we killed something. Now it's a hunt club.
Might want to rename yourselves to the boot spookers.
Boot spookers. Yeah, there you go. I like that.
No, but I mean, speaking of turkey, man, that's like probably my favorite. Yeah, it's so fun.
It's
just
so
getting
much
one
fun.
fired up But I mean, patience kills a lot,
Yeah, it really does.
Especially with turkeys, whitetail, even elk.
Elk, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, no.
Patience kills.
Billings was supposed to go on this trip this fall, and I said, dude, that wallow, that first day we found it or whatever day, I said, if we would have stuck you there every day, it would have taken, a little bit to get there.
Sure.
But you could take your time getting to it. There's some fitness involved, but it doesn't have to be like the ridiculous stuff that we do when we go.
Yeah.
And I said, if you would have sat in that wallow, you would have killed something for sure.
Yeah.
And so, there's different tactics to all of it. You can be the wide open and go and move, and that you're going to get some chances, but you can also sit, and there's something to the patience part of it. I'm really bad with patience.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
So
You sound like my little brother, man. I tried to take him deer hunting. He's like 2 hours into it. He's like, dude, I'm ready to go.
yeah,
I'm ready to get down. This is boring.
Dude, I couldn't even get my little brother to get in a tree, man.
Yeah.
I told him, I was like, yeah, we'll sit there for 4 hours before we see something. He's like, I'm not even
I'm
going.
not doing
Yeah,
that.
screw
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so that sounds like death to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, can we at least like maybe spot and stalk?
Yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah.
you can't really do that here, Like
Yeah.
we don't have the large swath of land that you could really do that. And
Yeah,
then
out
trying to
west it's a lot easier.
Out west
Yeah.
you could do that.
We got some large pieces of public you could possibly do that on, like Standing Stone,
Yeah.
Bridgestone down there in Sparta.
Yeah, doesn't where's TJ? TJ goes to, it's not Edgar Evans, is it? It's one
Yeah.
of the
Edgar
he
Evans,
goes,
yeah.
That's one of the places he goes.
That place is steep. That's
Steep.
like elk
Yeah,
country.
elk
dude.
country.
That
It
is elk
felt like I
country.
was elk hunting when we went.
Yeah.
That was terrible. Yeah. Have
Yeah.
you, when you went, was the elevation an issue for you?
It takes about a day or two for me to get pretty, not acclimatized, but, to feel
Good.
normal-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still, I don't think you really ever get used to it because there's less air there,
Yeah.
less pressure. So the biggest thing is like at night when you're in the middle of sleep, you try to roll over or something, and you're like, I'm out of breath, Why am I feel like I'm going to
can't
die.
breathe.
And so, I feel like with what I do and what we do, that being out of breath is pretty regular. So
Yeah,
I don't
it's
really
not that
think
big of a
don't
deal.
really think of anything about it. The biggest thing is the dry air, like my
Yeah.
mouth gets dry and stuff like that. I'm actually, this year we're talking about doing there's a Leadville 100 mountain bike race, and it's all above 10,000 feet, and it's
Oh, cool.
about a month before elk hunting. So that'll be a good
Yeah, that'll be a
wake
good
up,
little-
trainer.
wake up
Yeah.
call to do that before. So, but yeah, I think, that's something that definitely plays into it. We do a lot of leading up to it, probably a month or two leading up to it. We'll do some workouts with some shooting,
Yeah.
so your heart rate's jacked
Golly.
up a little bit.
Have you seen
Yeah.
those? There's a company that makes like a mask.
Yeah,
that
the
replicates the.
High altitude, yeah.
Yeah, I don't love those things because most of the time it limits your workout so much that you're not getting the same workout in.
Sure.
Okay.
What I've read a lot about is doing a high intensity type piece, and maybe during your recovery wearing that mask
Okay.
for probably 10
Okay.
minutes after, maybe just walking on a treadmill or something like that, just to get your body used to it. But I don't think
Yeah.
there's anything really, they
Yeah.
market to it, but I don't think it's that crazy to do it.
Dude, I'll
Yeah.
tell you this. I went to Hawaii earlier this year and hunted goats.
Oh.
And the first day I was hunting like 2,000 feet.
Yeah.
And then the second day, like I slept at 2,000 feet as
Yeah.
well. And then the next day I was at 11,000 feet hunting.
Mess you up.
Absolutely killed me.
Yeah,
It
11,000.
was the worst.
10,000 is a big difference. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
once you get above 10,000, it's almost a little bit of a difference.
2 miles
Oh,
high,
dude,
man.
it was terrible because I parked at 9,500
Mhm.
and then I hiked up to a 10,000 foot cliff side and then glassed over to try to find some goats.
Yeah.
And then after that, I turned around and found them up the mountain. I was like, well, crap.
Now what do I
So
do?
There
was
we
like-
go, baby.
And so I started walking up, but dude, that was terrible.
Was that those feral goats?
Yeah,
feral
okay.
goats.
I've watched that,
Yeah.
the Meat Eater episode.
Yeah.
That's how I found out about it.
Did you?
Yeah, I would just so happen to be going to Hawaii,
Heck yeah.
and I watched the episode, and I was like, I'm going.
Gonna try. Hell
You
yeah.
were talking to the guy that was taking them,
Yeah,
right?
Danny Bolton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. I was
That's awesome.
talking to him on Instagram.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
It looks fun, man. That's on
Dude,
my
it's
list.
cheap.
And I've got a buddy that lives out in Maui, and so he was like, we can do, and the whole Meat Eater,
Yeah.
that whole episode basically. He's like, we can go spearfish one day, and then we can go hunt
Yeah.
goats and hogs. And I was like, absolutely.
Yeah, dude.
I wanna try to kill a axis out on
Lanai.
Lanai. Yeah.
It looks
That's
awesome.
on
Dude,
my
I will
bucket
tell you
list.
this. There is a crap ton of goats.
Really? That's what it looked like. There's
like if
everywhere.
you think it's going to be like elk hunting,
Yeah. No.
You turn every direction, there's
Shooting,
100 goats.
More like pheasant hunting, where it's
Oh,
more like
dude.
pheasant shooting.
Yeah,
Urban.
it's wild, man. And even with pigs, there's a unit you want to get on though, and they only do it. It's only open for like a month out of the year.
Yeah.
everywhere else is obviously year round,
Right.
but it's the Puuwawa on the Big Island.
Mm-hmm.
But that is completely fenced in. And so they tried to control the population. So
Yeah.
instead of killing them off, they just fenced them in. And so
geez.
it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And it's hilarious. Like we were just driving.
fish in a barrel, man.
Dude, like
basically.
literally, the unit was closed, but we were on the edge of that unit in another unit, and I had all my equipment with me. And I pulled out of the truck, and I literally just walked like 100 yards, tried to like get on a group of them. I scared them off, but there's just so many, dude.
of them.
Yeah, I had my
like a lot of
wife
fun.
and our 2 friends in the car just waiting there, and I was
Yeah.
out there for like 40 minutes.
Trying to catch.
Yeah,
catch
my
one.
wife just kept calling me like, "Hurry up!" It was so funny.
It's
Yeah.
awesome. I want to do that, and then after watching his New Zealand hunts, New Zealand
Yeah.
looks awesome.
Oh yeah, New Zealand looks sick.
Yeah, they got like red stag out there.
They
I
got red
think.
stag.
Yeah.
They got
Yeah.
all kind. Basically, everything there is non-native. So
Non-native,
It's
yep.
technically
Okay, so it's like
invasive,
Hawaii.
So you
There's-
can basically hunt any and everything.
Daggone.
Year round too. There's no.
Yeah.
There's
So
no
then it's
seasons
exactly
because
like Hawaii.
He
yeah.
shot a Canadian goose with a rifle.
What? The
Yeah.
Him
Yeah.
I think it was him and Remy Warren just walk up. And he's
Yeah.
like, "Hey, you want dinner?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Let's go shoot this goose," and he's with a rifle.
Yeah.
What
It
the
was
heck?
bizarre. Yeah.
There's no like hunting regulations because
No.
everything is non-native. So
Non-native. Yeah.
That's
so he
wild,
hunted.
dude.
I think it was like they were going after a mountain goat, and he killed a chamois.
Mm-hmm.
And then in that same episode, he killed a red stag, or same series, he had killed a red stag.
Yep.
They did this hog hunt where they chase him with dogs, and then you have to stab it in the heart with a knife.
yeah.
Golly.
But that's apparently that's how hog hunting used to be
Yeah.
back in the day. That's traditional. Like,
Yeah.
What the heck?
You have
which
dogs.
is cool.
Grab them by the back leg, you come up and just knife them in the heart.
Yeah.
Like
Dude, that's most
talking about
hard
bad
sword.
thing
Talking
about
ever.
like personal, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's it's easy.
That's
to,
respect.
Yeah,
That's what
shooting-
that is.
Shooting something with a bow is hard. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
you're up close and personal. Rifle, yeah, still hard, but a little bit less personal. Stabbing something in the heart, that's
With a
Yeah,
knife.
that's
With a
that's
knife.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So, do you do any duck hunting or anything else?
I've done some duck hunting. I'd like to do more of it. I just don't. I mean, we don't have anything great around here, so traveling.
Yeah.
I've been to Arkansas a couple of times. I really enjoyed duck hunting. But the guy that I've been with a couple of times have not been good duck hunts. So,
Yeah.
I've killed a couple, but nothing crazy. Pheasant, we've done pheasant hunting in South Dakota, Chamberlain, South Dakota. You talk about some fun.
Oh,
For real?
dude.
Pheasant hunting.
Yes, sir.
It's not hunting, it's pheasant shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was awesome.
Yeah.
We haven't done that yet.
I went to I actually last year with some of our YouTube ambassadors. We did I went out to South Dakota and hunted in Chamberlain.
Thunderstick?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
We were deer hunting on some
okay,
public
gotcha.
out there.
Okay.
But
Go to
with that being
Thunderstick
said,
Lodge.
yeah. With that being said, though, we hiked into this piece on the White River, and dude, I hiked in like 2 miles, man, and coming out, dude,
Different.
busting pheasants out
Oh,
like
dude.
oh,
And they're
dude, you talk
loud.
about scaring the
It's
crap
like
out of you, dude.
Walking up on what are those in the mountain? Crap. We call them mountain chickens. But
Mountain
they're,
Grouse,
grouse.
yeah.
Grouse, dude. Those things will scare
Scare
the crap out of you,
yeah, dude.
Walking through the woods.
Or it's
and
like a
just-
rabbit around here when you're whitetail hunting.
Yeah.
It's just like all of a sudden out, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
So when you pheasant hunt, do you go out in the woods and shoot them, or what does that
It's
look
usually
like?
crop fields and
Crop
stuff.
fields. You
Okay,
just walk
okay.
through the fields. Yeah.
You got
just-
dogs that'll bust them out, and
The dogs are
And then you
incredible.
just start
That's
shooting.
one of
Oh,
the
yeah,
coolest
dude.
things you've ever seen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually get in a line, you push this, row of corn that they've left up, and then you put 2 guys on the end as blockers. You'll have 2 guys kind of up here on the wings, and then you have, depending how wide it is, 2 or 3 guys here pushing, and then you just the dogs will kind of work back and forth. And
Yeah.
and what pheasant want to do is they want to run before they want to fly, and so they'll
Yeah.
run to these end guys, and if you're the end guys, you get
all those opportunities.
get a couple extra, or
Yeah.
you get shot.
Yeah.
One of the buddies,
One or
one of
the
our
other.
buddies, I hear bang, low bird, and then I'm like, you get pellets every once in a while,
Yeah.
and you feel them
Yeah.
like this.
You get peppered every
This
once in a
felt
while.
like somebody took him and chucked him at my chest. So we always joked that Marlon shot me.
Yeah.
It wasn't a pepper. Like it was like, ooh, that like I felt
That
that, one,
hurt.
That hurt a little bit, yeah.
So yeah, we always
Yeah.
joke Marlon shot me, but pheasant hunting was a blast.
Yeah.
But like I said, you're just limiting out within
Yeah.
3 hours, and then you're back at the lodge. It's a gentleman's hunt. So
Yeah.
my big thing I
basically.
want to do now is we're going to try to go to Alaska and do a moose caribou combo.
Heck yeah,
That's
dude.
what I want to do.
Nice.
And then I think bear's on my list now, black bear. After watching a couple of Meat Eater episodes, the
Yeah.
meat sounds like it's incredible.
Oh, I definitely want to kill a black bear.
Yeah.
For sure with my bow.
I don't want to mess with a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
They're terrifying.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't
the
know if I
one
wanna do
thing.
that either.
Like, I'm just like, you know what? I'll stay away from a grizzly.
Yeah, grizzly country is
It's different.
scary stuff. Yeah, man.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Yeah, me and my wife went to Washington last year, and that like the area we were hiking was grizzly country. And I literally stayed up all night the night before just looking up stuff about it. And I was just getting freaked out. I was like, babe, I don't know if we should do this. Like, this does not look like a good idea. She's like, no, it'll be fine. And we like get up on the mountain, and then I see one sign that says grizzlies, like beware of grizzlies. And then we get like 200, 300 feet up more, and then there's another sign, and it says beware of more grizzlies. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, dude.
In the thick of it now.
Yeah, it was super foggy, so we couldn't see like 25, 30 yards in front of us. Oh, it was terrible.
There's not many
dude.
things that scare me, but grizzlies.
Yeah.
There was this one video a couple years ago where they re-released one back into the wild, and they've got this like Jurassic Park truck that they're backing up, and they have a GoPro set up, and they release this thing, and this thing attacks the GoPro within 2 seconds.
Well, they say like, you know, if you get surprised by a grizzly, you don't have time
Nothing.
to pull.
Yeah.
You don't have time to pull a spray. You don't have time to pull a gun. Nothing, dude. You're getting mauled.
Yeah.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Like if you get surprised, if you don't see the grizzly,
You're dead.
And you get surprised by the grizzly,
You're
getting
dead.
mauled.
Yeah.
You might not die, but you're gonna be hurt. Like,
Kelly.
yeah.
Well, that's, I mean, I keep going back to Meat Eater. There's that episode, the one keeps charging. They're shooting at its feet, and it's still charging.
Yeah.
They don't care.
That's wild. I had I don't know if it was a black bear or grizzly bear, but my uncle went hunting in Alaska, and they got off the boat because you can't shoot them from the boat.
Right.
And then literally they went in like 100 yards, and they had like 2 or 3 start charging them from different directions. And he's like, what
Sounds
do I
like a
do
nightmare.
here? He's like, what do we do here? And the guide's like, well, you shoot them. Like, don't just stand here.
Yeah.
And so they were like 150 yards. He ranged it in, and then like pulled up the scope, looked through it, ranged it again, and it was like 45.
Oh,
and he
okay.
just started firing.
Did you get it?
Yeah, no, he killed it, but he's got it mounted, and it's
That's
like
awesome.
claws are out.
That
And
is cool, but I don't know
Yeah,
if I
no.
want to be in that situation.
No, he sadly he has a testicular cancer, but so he literally pissed himself when that happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
No doubt.
Heck yeah.
But it was super funny, man.
I just bought one of those marsupial bino cases, and so I bought the handgun
Oh, yeah,
attachment that goes underneath
absolutely.
in case when we go out. You know, like in Colorado, you don't have to worry about brown bears, but black bears, we've had a couple. We had one run in one time last year at a wall that we all had bear tags too, but we walk up over this little rise, and my buddy, he turns around and he goes, "Look behind me." I'm like, I can't really see behind me.
Yeah.
And he's trying to knock an arrow, like he's like, whatever. And I'm, what is it? And he's like, look over my left shoulder. I'm like, and he's using a couple other words.
Yeah.
And so I look up and I'm like, that's a bear. And so we all just like, and I don't think TJ was with us, but we all just dispersed trying to go after this bear, like with bows, like we're like idiots. You
Look
know?
like
And this
Indians
thing's
or something.
Yeah, we're just like, and then everybody's kind of in their own, and nobody can see each other. So we're like,
This wasn't smart.
what do we do now? You know, so three of us came back to the same spot where we all left, which you should do.
Yeah.
One of the other guys was gone, and we couldn't find him. So we're in the middle of Colorado, and
Jeez.
somehow, like an hour later, we all sit down. The three of us sat down. We ate lunch. We're like, oh, he'll come back. Steven will come back. Never comes back. So we just start hunting. We're like, all right, screw
this,
it. He'll find his way.
Gadsbury?
Gadberry,
Yeah.
Steven? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're just sitting there, and so we thought we heard a bugle, so we kind of go investigate a little bit. So we're walking around, and then finally we're like, all right, there's nothing. So we start creeping back up this ridge, and sure enough, I look up, and there's Steven just sunning in the middle of this, and I'm like,
Just taking a nap.
we've hunted so long together that we know where each
yeah.
other's gonna be. So yeah, you know Steven though.
Just through, I think TJ had said, hey, we need to get this guy hunting out of this.
Steven's the man.
And then I reached out to him and talked to him several times.
Yeah, he'll be there. Be here this weekend. So yeah. Steven's
Oh, yeah,
a good
man.
dude. He's a
Cool.
Catholic priest and one of my good hunting friends. So
Yeah.
he's he's the one actually that we were creeping through the woods, and this was the first year in Gunnison, and it's middle of the day, so we didn't want to sit, so we're just kind of like real slow through heavy timber, and I'm walking and I look down, and I mean this ray of sun is just right on the back of this bull, and he's just looking around, and all you see is this huge rack, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Steven, come here. And so he's the one that kind of found that spot and had hunted the year before. So I was like,
Yeah.
you take the shot. And he's like, you sure? And I was like, yeah. So he starts like getting his bow ready, and he's like, here, take my backpack. And I'm like, yeah, it's a good idea. And he's like, here, take this. And I'm like, yeah, do that. And it was like, we have it all on video. I think it was like 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And instead of all he needed to do was step forward into a shooting lane, he tried to close the distance a little bit. And like I said, he hit a twig, and all of a sudden you hear gone, like within 2 seconds. And then
a
you
bark
see,
and
you just see cow,
Jeez.
cow.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I'm just like, And so like I
Yeah.
said, so Steven, if I see it, I'm taking the shot. I don't care what Steven says.
That's like, like I was
I'll
saying,
never do that again.
Patience kills.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will never do
Dude,
that
that's
again.
funny because we were talking about earlier how you guarantee you probably had hundreds of elk around
yeah.
you and had no clue. I saw this video yesterday. These guys were elk hunting, and the guy was glassing in front of him, and he had an elk literally like 40, 50 yards in front of him, had no clue.
No clue.
Turned around, was glassing, and his friend's like 100 yards just videoing on his phone. And then just like one elk passes, and then another one. And then his buddies, like you can see the camera shaking because he's waving at him. And then he turns around and they're all gone. And then he turns back around. He's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
You know?
you can't see them, man. They're
It's like, dude,
it's crazy what those things can do and how they can hide and what they can hide in.
That's wild, dude.
That's like mule deer too, man. They don't call them gray ghosts for nothing.
No.
Yeah.
They will disappear like that.
I will say I've seen more mule deer elk hunting than I've seen elk
Yeah,
hunting,
right.
you know?
Yeah,
like,
but you know what?
I have no mule deer tag. They
I
know
was
it,
about
you
to
know?
say, you know what's funny is if you had a mule deer tag, you wouldn't see any mule deer.
I mean, we were in 53 or 63 in Gunnison unit,
Yeah.
and apparently it's like one of the best draw units for mule deer.
Yeah.
And at one point, I saw this mule deer, and I, for a minute, was like, that's an elk.
Yeah.
And then,
Dude, they got
it's a
trophy mule
dude.
deer over
Huge.
in the, yeah.
There was like 4 of them together too, and they were all like, it
Giants.
blew my mind. I'm playing tricks in my mind. I'm like, is that an elk? It's got to be an elk, and they were just freaking massive mule deer. So
Yeah, so we definitely plan on going out west next year, putting
hopefully
in for
September.
tags and
I just started talking to those hunting fool guys, hunting fools.
Yeah.
And where they help you kind of with tags and stuff. And so
Yep.
I don't know. I haven't really dug into it too much, but I've got a B tag in Idaho, the Panhandle, and
Nice.
then we don't really have a plan other than that next year. So let us know.
obviously elk.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right
Yeah.
now. Like I said, until I want to do moose, and I think mule deer eventually. But
Yeah.
I said I mean we've got whitetail at the house, and
Yeah.
I just haven't gotten there yet. Maybe one of these days I'll get there.
Yeah.
But
When you get older and start settling down a little bit, you might
that'll be it.
might
well,
go
if-
and climb in a tree
Make your
stand.
own high fence and
Yeah,
problem
right?
solved.
Keep them in. Yeah, keep them in. We'll just go grab some elk and throw them out in the woods.
Yeah. I mean, there's elk in, is it
north-
Monterey?
Is it Monterey?
Yeah,
I can't remember. There's a
it's-
farm
it's,
there or something.
Well, there's a
it's-
farm there, but then
Yeah.
there's like those. There's a herd in Kentucky.
There's
now.
a herd. So we did a podcast with
Rick.
Rick Taylor. He's the local CVA Bergara rep. He's actually their social media strategist. He is his position or whatever. But so he's also an elk guide for Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
So like there's a draw
Yeah, you get like 7
elk
tags
hunt.
or something.
Yeah, there's like
that.
7 tags period throughout the state. But we do have a population of elk. It's actually northeast Tennessee. Is that right? Yeah, northeast Tennessee and in Kentucky, and then actually a lot of people don't know this either, but Cherokee, North Carolina has a crap ton of elk, dude.
Really?
Yeah, but the ones in Tennessee, there's like draw
Draw
7
only.
tags or whatever. But he guided on that elk hunt for
Yeah.
somebody, and
That's
they
cool.
killed a bull.
Dude, a good bull, too.
Yeah,
That's cool.
really good
Yeah.
one. So.
A really good one.
The funny thing about those elk is like they're used to human interaction
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like up there where they're at, that unit they're in, there's a bunch of like ATV trails, side by sides and stuff like. So
They
they're
see 'em all
used
people.
they're used to seeing people all the time.
And
So
only 7 of them are getting killed a year. Maybe.
yeah, exactly. He said they went in and like, what did he say? 45 minutes into the hunt, they killed the bull.
Well, they were ahead of schedule. So
Yeah.
he was like, let's just stay back at the side by side. We'll wait.
Yeah.
And then they literally got up to the fence to cross into the it's like public or the private, whatever they were hunting.
It's public,
And
I think,
they
yeah.
didn't even cross the fence, and there's 2 bulls fighting.
Yeah.
And then he's
those,
like, well,
those
great.
Cam Hanes hunts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like- but like, yeah,
I don't know, man.
But in Tennessee, which is crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah,
that's
I would
super
love
cool.
to draw that hunt. Man.
I know, right? Just be right in your backyard. Not have to drive out or go out west, which I do love going out west. But
it's beautiful
for sure.
out there.
For sure.
We'll have to go to Hawaii or something, man.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, heck yeah. I'm all for it.
I know the area now, so
There you go.
or at least on the Big Island. But
Or
Yeah, access to it would be fun.
share a
too.
duck blind or something
There we go.
somewhere.
There we go.
We're kind of obsessed with duck hunting right
Yeah.
now because we just got back from Reelfoot last weekend.
I got into it a couple years ago, and then, like I said, I enjoyed the ones that I was on, but we didn't kill anything. So
Yeah.
it wasn't. I mean, we killed like one duck,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or one snow snow goose.
Yeah.
It was just
Well, it was like such a crazy experience going
dude, it
on
was wild.
Reelfoot Lake because like you're literally in an elevated blind in the middle of the lake.
yeah.
And we were there all day, man, and
Yeah.
it was awesome. We killed 19 ducks the first day.
Yeah. It's like 10 the second day.
No, 8 the second day, and
Okay.
then 9 the third day, and then me and another guy stayed for half a day. We had only planned to hunt 3 days, but we were like,
might as well.
tomorrow the sun's supposed to shine,
Yeah,
and these guys are saying the sun brings the ducks out, so let's stay.
let's do
Yeah.
it.
Well, the sun didn't shine.
Oh,
Yeah.
Weatherman lied to us again.
Yeah.
like they always do.
So
Yeah.
we only killed one duck that
Last
fourth day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I shot a Susie Mallard off like one shot, one
Nice.
kill.
There
It was
you
pretty
go.
sweet. And then missed the slowest canvasback ever flying in the world.
Bang,
I was
bang,
trying to lead it, and
Yeah.
it was like barely flying, and I'm like, I shot out in front of this thing all 3 times. So.
Well, the funny thing was too is we would have killed a lot more birds the first and the second day, but all of us sucked at shooting.
Yeah,
dude.
dude, we
Couldn't do
missed
it?
We
so
we
many
saw
birds.
dude the first or second day. I can't remember.
First day.
Yeah, first day we had like over 300 birds over us
Jeez.
just
Yeah.
throughout the whole day. But dude, we just couldn't shoot a dang thing.
See, I think I would be addicted to duck hunting if I saw 300 birds. But
Yeah.
like I said, the couple of times we went. I can't remember where we went. It was in East Tennessee somewhere, and my buddy's like, we got to get there. It's opening morning. I forgot. He's like, we got to get there it was like midnight to get a spot. It was on public.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah, that's
public land,
why.
okay.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
we go midnight, right? And he's like, the spot's going to be amazing. We're there, and they had a fire and stuff. I end up trying to sleep in the boat. The boat was too small for 4 of us to sleep in. So I'd
Yeah.
sleep in a crook of a tree.
Yeah.
Like if I fall out of this tree, I'm dead.
Yeah.
But I was trying to fall asleep. We
Yeah.
wake
Yeah.
up the next morning. We killed 1 duck.
Golly.
And me and my buddy both shot it. And so it was just like,
So who's taking it home?
I know. I mean,
You
it was-
get half a breast, I
Yeah.
get half a breast.
So it was,
Golly.
that was one of my duck hunts. And
Yeah.
so we had a couple other decent ones, nothing great. We'd kill 8 or 10 ducks between 3 or 4 guys. But man, I sounds awesome to do
Dude,
a
it's
real
really
duck
cool,
hunt.
man. That was my first time ever duck hunting too. So
Yeah.
And it was it's a guided hunt, obviously, but it was relatively cheap for what it was, like
Yeah, absolutely.
200 a person a day.
Well, it's like my one buddy goes to, I forget which one, something flats, and he took a video of the blind, and there's
Yeah.
like a chef in there
Yeah,
cooking
yeah,
and all
yep.
that type of stuff.
Yep.
And you're
Yeah.
just, you got these little flaps that you're going out.
Exactly.
yeah, that's exactly what
Sounds-
it
It's
was.
very
Sounds
very
awesome.
bougie,
Yeah, who
Yeah.
cares?
but it's very fun.
It is very fun.
That's
we
that,
ate
that's
well.
that pheasant hunt's the same way.
Oh,
Like-
yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
said, it's a gentleman's hunt. You're going
Yeah.
out, you're hunting, you're coming back, and you're eating.
Yeah,
It's
that's right.
awesome. It was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, food was great. Ducks were great.
Yeah.
I mean, just the whole experience was
Camaraderie
crazy.
was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a great time, man.
Yeah, got some really cool footage too. So
Yeah, all about the content.
Exactly.
So my buddy, that's what our media guy, he's like, yeah, it'd be great content,
yeah,
So
it's exactly what I say.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, cool, man. Well, I appreciate you joining us,
Yeah, heck
dude.
yeah.
What's your plugs? Like, give me your Instagram, stuff like that.
I don't currently run my Instagram. We have somebody that runs it, but
Okay.
every once in a while you'll see if it's something usually sarcastic, it's usually my post. Other than that, it's all sponsor stuff. But at Rich Froning
Okay.
on Instagram, and then our YouTube channel, which there's quite a bit of hunting stuff on there now.
Cool.
It's just CrossFit
Sweet.
Mayhem.
Cool. And then as far as like CrossFit Mayhem,
CrossFit Mayhem or
Yeah.
mayhemnation.com
Okay.
is where all of our stuff is. Mayhem Athlete. So there's a lot of, like I said, we do a lot of individualized programming. There's a lot of, for hunting, there's the everyday athlete. There's Angelo, who's
Okay.
a firefighter. He does this, it's kind of a military police fire, but it'd be incredible for people that are trying to go out west and hunt and
Cool.
do that type of stuff. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a lot of firefighters, a lot of cops, a lot of ex-military.
yeah,
So,
current military as well.
yeah, if you guys are interested in CrossFit at all, man, go check out Rich's stuff.
Yeah, this is the
CrossFit
guy to
Mayhem.
do it. So
Appreciate it.
He's the man.
Yeah,
So-
literally.
Appreciate you guys having me.
4-time world champ.
Let's get on the hunt. Let's get on the hunt.
Yeah, let's make it happen,
Absolutely,
man.
I'm
Well, dude, we'll appreciate you, man. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.
Appreciate it, guys.